Mina was shuffling through the children's clothing racks, and she feels this little tug on her skirt. And she's asking her son, okay, yeah, what is it, sweetie? Do you need something? There's no response. So Mina pulls her eyes away from the clothes and she looks at her son. He's like 6 years old at this point, and his eyes are bulging out of his head. He looks petrified. And she's like, what's wrong? And this little kid, he's Korean. He says, Oma, we've got to go home right now. Why? What's wrong? Do you have to go potty? Like, I'll be done in 10 minutes. Can you hold it? No, the ajashi said that we need to leave right now. Mina looks around. There's definitely nobody near them, and there's definitely not a middle-aged man. All of the employees at this children's clothing store, they're young women. So she's confused. What ajashi are you talking about? Like, I just need to grab a few more things.
And ajashi is an old man.
Old middle-aged man.
Yeah.
And he looks up at her again and says, that ajashi right there told me to leave. And he's pointing into the air. Mina looks, and there is nobody. She says, are you sure you saw an ajashi? What did he look like? He keeps saying he was bleeding. He keeps trying to hug the nice cashier lady. Mina didn't leave because she's in this very fancy luxury shopping mall, and maybe kids just make up some things. Maybe he wanted to go to a toy store instead. Maybe he was bored. Maybe he wanted to go home and watch TV. It just didn't make any sense why there would be a bleeding man in the middle of this store. I mean, this mall is known for, you walk in, very normal to see coats going for $1,000 a coat. Table tea sets going for $8,000, $9,000. People dressed up to go shopping at this establishment. There certainly weren't any middle-aged bleeding ajashis trying to hug cashiers. It's just not that type of place. But these were the rumors that would float around Korea even to this day. Children dragging their parents out of this mall, talking about how they saw a bloody man telling them to get out. How they saw bloody people climbing onto workers' backs, trying to almost get on their back like a piggyback ride. There were rumors that children were being warned to stay away from this mall. Because very soon, over 502 people would be dead and 30 people would go missing inside of these very walls. Okay, this sounds like a scene out of a horror movie, but it's part of a real-life case that just happened in the Philippines. December 10th, 2021, so this is pretty recent. 17-year-old Janice is hiding under her bed. There were 3 masked men that had broken into the family home. They're going room to room, attacking anyone that they stumble across. Janice is hiding underneath her bed, literally a horror movie. Janice managed to slide under the bed, but she had no idea when the door to her room would open, when they would walk in, if they would even see her. Maybe, I don't know, maybe they would drag her out by her ankles. She didn't make any noise. She can't make any noise. She obviously can't call the emergency service lines. She doesn't even want to talk. She's terrified. So she starts texting her family group chat, hoping her parents would read it and maybe they would send help. They would come to save her. Her parents are both at work. She's home alone with her 2 siblings, and she starts texting the group chat. 3 masked men enter the house. They're attacking us. Please, please help. I can hear them screaming. They're hurting us, please. That was at 2:48 p.m. Janice could hear her siblings scream for help, and she was getting no response from her parents. Maybe they didn't see it yet. They were at work. So she didn't know what else to do or who else to turn to. I mean, think about it. Like, how quickly do your friends respond to your texts? So instead, at 3 p.m., so just about 12 minutes later, Janice, as quietly and as quickly as her sweaty fingers allow her to, she posts on Facebook. Guys, help me, please. Someone broke into the house. Help, please. I don't want to die. I'm here inside a room hiding right now. Please, please help. And then she heard footsteps approaching her door, her bedroom door. She didn't know if it was a parent, a police officer, or maybe it was the 3 masked men. Her father would later come home to find 2 of his 3 children dead. This is going to be a long one, and it's going to be a tough one, okay? We're talking about this Haewol tragedy, the sinking of this Haewol boat. Now, 2 16-year-old students from Danwon High School, they made headlines. There were some rumors that they were dating. There were some rumors that said, no, they were just close friends. But most of the students that knew both of them personally said they barely knew each other. I don't even think that they had a class together. Most kids said that was the extent of their interaction, just passing each other in the hallways. Yet the two of them found each other alone in a room, in a boat, terrified. I mean, they're watching the water starting to pool on the ground and they didn't know what to do. I'm sure they were frantic. I'm sure that there were a lot of things going on in their minds. I'm sure that they were trying to comfort each other. But eventually, everything goes black. A civilian diver would later find both their bodies alone in that room, and their life jacket cords were still tied together. He remembers how he had to separate them because he physically couldn't bring up two bodies at once. And he recognized that in their last moments, maybe these two kids knew each other, maybe they didn't, but in their last moments, they didn't want to be alone. So they tied the strings of their life jackets together till the very end. And he said, I started crying thinking that I didn't want to separate them, but I had to. He said it was one of the hardest rescue dives that he had ever endured in his entire life. He would never forget some of the stuff that was seen. Other students from the same high school, Tanwon High School, faced similar fates. A female student was seen throwing a chair at a window, a glass window, and she's hurling this chair with as much force as she can muster. She would go as far back as she could, and then she would throw it with all of her strength, and it would just clunk onto the window and fall back down. She wasn't angry, but there was just pure desperation in her eyes. She could see on the very other side of this window were rescuers. They saw her, she saw them, and they did nothing but stare at her.
What? Why?
We're going to get into it. I mean, this rescue, I don't even think you can call it a rescue. She realized that these people, these rescuers, they're not here to save her. All the people that she thought would be responsible for her safety, the captain of the boat, the rescue teams from the Korean National Coast Guard, they all abandoned her. They were watching her through the window, and it was very clear to her in her last moments that she was being left to die.
Bada bing, bada boo.
In a South Korean emergency room, this is May of 2009, there was the Lee family that were anxiously waiting for help. It just seemed like the parents, so it's Mr. and Mrs. Lee, their new parents, maybe about 20 something years old, and they have their 3-month-old baby, their 3-month-old infant. And like these parents, their dark circles under their eyes, they look like they're being pulled down by gravity itself. They look beat. Their eyes are frantic. I mean, it looks like they had been fueling themselves with just adrenaline alone. And, the hospital, they get a lot of these parents in. They get all these parents that are new and they're scared and they're like, my kid is coughing. I don't know what to do. I feel like my kid is in trouble. Can you please help? And usually it's nothing, right? Usually. This case wasn't that. 3-month-old baby Lee was perfectly healthy the day of his birth. He went to all of his checkups perfectly healthy until just about a week ago. According to the parents, he started having these little hiccups. He would hiccup, and at first it was cute. They're like, oh my God, he knows how to hiccup. And then slowly these hiccups would morph into these coughing fits. He would wake himself up in pain from his little naps and just coughing up a storm. They were so worried. I mean, the way that he was screaming was ear-piercing. Something was clearly wrong. Nurses checked his heart rate. They took scans. They put him on an IV. Meanwhile, there were multiple doctors crowding in a room. So this is like an office room. The parents aren't there. The patients aren't there. And one by one, another doctor would come in and they'd be like, hey, look at these scans. They would stare at the scan, hands on their hips, and then another doctor would come and nobody could put their finger on it. They had no idea what was going on. The baby's lungs were basically gone. Yeah, not all the way gone, but something really, really strange and bizarre was happening. His lung tissues were turning solid, hard as a rock. Which means that, okay, think about it. Your lungs have to expand to take in air. And if they turn into stone, it won't expand and you can't take in air. Imagine the feeling of wearing a corset made out of stone, 2 sizes too small. It's like the feeling that even if you try with all of your might to take in some air and lift your chest and expand it, you're not getting oxygen. It's that feeling, but probably amplified to the 100th degree. Doctors have no idea what to do. They had never seen anything like this. They don't know how to help baby Lee. Ultimately, baby Lee passed May 5th of 2009 on Children's Day. He was less than 100 days old. This one's a doozy. I don't even know what to tell you. Mr. Kim Chol was standing at the big screen in the middle of the busy airport in Malaysia. And lucky for us, since what's about to go down is happening in a busy airport, we have all the CCTV footage of one of the most insane murders that we've ever covered to date. But back to Mr. Kim Chol. He had just checked in his bag. He's standing there hands-free. All he has is this black backpack that's slung over one shoulder. This black backpack is going to be very important, so keep this in mind. Now, he had just been on a solo trip to Malaysia. It was fun, but he's itching. He's itching to go back home to his wife and kids in China, in Macau, China. His eyes are scanning the rows and rows of like brightly flashing numbers, the flight numbers, and he finds his. He memorizes the gate number. He turns on his heel, and right as he's turning, he hears footsteps behind him. But I mean, that's to be expected. It's an airport, but it's almost like these pitter-patter footsteps, like someone's running up behind him. Maybe someone is missing their flight. Someone's late. What's that got to do with him, right? But suddenly he can't see. Someone's hands are covering his eyes. Like if you were to run up to your boyfriend and you're trying to be cute, you put your hands around his eyes and you're like playing peekaboo, right? Guess who? It's like a K-drama moment. But he knew that his entire family, all of his friends, they were in China. As far as he knew, there was nobody that he knew in Malaysia. There was no one who would know him to do this. Before he had time to turn around, another set of hands grabbed his face this time, like kind of covered his mouth. It's almost like someone slapped him without the impact. He felt someone's fingernail uncomfortably poke into his nose, and he tried to grab at whatever was touching his face. He ends up grabbing an arm. And he opens his eyes and he sees this young woman standing in front of him. And he's so puzzled. He'd never seen this girl before, and she looks really young. And all she can say is, sorry, sorry. She breaks free from his grasp. And suddenly, these two girls, they're gone. Whoever they were, they ran up to him, played peekaboo, touched his face a couple times, and they were running off.
How old are they?
Like early 20s. They look really young, yeah. He stood there really confused, just like, what the hell just happened? Like, what the hell is wrong with girls these days? Like, stupid kids. And then it started to burn. Like his whole face started to burn. Wherever they had touched him with their hands, it started to hurt. He reaches up trying to touch his face and he's thinking, okay, maybe one of the girl's fingernails dug into my nose and that's why it stings so much. But that doesn't make sense because my eyes feel like they're about to be on fire. My retinas feel like there is an inferno raging inside of them, like a bonfire. Maybe there was something on their hands, like some sort of alcohol residue or something, because why would it burn? Kim Chol beelined it straight to the airport's medical center. He told the receptionist that someone had come up behind him, attacked him, and now his face is burning and it was very hard to see. He didn't know Malay, but he knew a little bit of English, and he hoped that she would understand, so he kept screaming, very painful, very painful. I was sprayed liquid. The first thought everyone had was, maybe it's acid. Maybe this is an acid attack. The receptionist looked carefully, but his skin didn't seem like something had happened. It looked normal, so it didn't seem like acid, and he was walking and talking just fine, so she did not think that he was in mortal imminent danger. His eyes were a little bit red, but maybe something got into it. So she hit the call button and said, okay, Mr. Chol, we're going to wait for the next doctor to be with you. It's an airport hospital. We don't have a full staff. Please sit down. He sits down in the waiting room, and after a few minutes, the receptionist peeks over her desk. Mr. Chol is not sitting up in the chair anymore. He's slumped down, shoulders below the top of the back seat, almost falling out of his chair. He looks like a drunk man. His head is kind of tilted to the side. He was unconscious. The nurse is pressing the emergency call button. She's rushing out from behind the desk. She takes inventory of the situation, and it's bad. He has tense muscles, ragged, shallow breathing. He's not responding to any verbal or physical cues or stimuli. Within seconds, an ambulance was at the door, ready to take him to the nearest major hospital. They slipped an oxygen mask over his face. His whole body was unresponsive and limp. In the span of 30 minutes, this man, Kim Chol, had been murdered in broad daylight at a busy airport. That's not even the strange part. That is the tip of the iceberg, okay? The attack in the airport by these two female assassins lasted less than 3 seconds. It was perfectly synchronized. Two women had delivered a fatal dose of one of the deadliest poisons known to mankind by smearing it on their hands and thus smearing it on his face. This poison had been outlawed by the Chemical Weapons Convention in a treaty signed by just about every single country on planet Earth, including Malaysia. Governments were not even allowed to stockpile this weapon. It was that dangerous. The US at one point had a big stockpile, and after they signed this treaty, they dumped it in the ocean. They put it on a bunch of ships and sank the ship.
No
deep
way.
in the ocean. This is a man-made weapon, a chemical weapon of mass destruction. And it's like baby oil, just an oily substance. But now it had been used to kill this random man in an airport. More curious than that is, why did the two women kill him? Are they unhinged? What happened? These two women had never met each other before this exact moment that they had worked flawlessly to murder a random innocent passerby. They could have targeted the young woman walking out a baggage claim. They could have targeted the mother with her stroller nearby. Why did they choose this man? Was it random? Maybe not. The authorities opened this man's, now dead man's, black backpack, the only thing that he had on his body, and they found 4 different passports, all fake, 4 bricks of $100 bills totaling to over 100,000 US dollars.
Wow.
And get this, 12 vials of a substance called atropine. Atropine is the antidote to the same very toxic, very illegal chemical weapon that was just used to kill him.
What?
Exactly. What is going on? So many questions. The authorities didn't even know exactly who this man was for a minute there because he had 4 fake passports in his bag. Well, it turns out, and it's very quick to get to this, but turns out this guy's real name wasn't Kim Chol like it was on his passports or his fake IDs. His name was Kim Jong-nam. Sound familiar? Older brother to Kim Jong-un and original heir to the North Korean dictatorship.
No freaking way.
He had just been murdered by 2 girls who would swear it was an accident. These 2 girls would be known as assassins, but they came out and swore to the world that they thought that they were part of a YouTube prank video. They claimed that they just wanted to be YouTube famous. They had no intention of killing anyone, and especially not the dictator of North Korea's older brother.
This is absolutely on another level unreal.
If this was a movie, I would say this is unbelievable and stupid.
Bada bing, bada boo.
Gustavo stumbled out of the nightclub. He's barely keeping his balance. Even to get out of the nightclub, he had to put his hands up against the wall to guide him out. Usually, when you first open those doors and you walk out, that fresh, crisp night air, just compared to the scent of liquor and smoke inside the club, it's refreshing. But Gustavo didn't really feel that tonight. He just felt dizzy, almost like he's hallucinating. He would look up and the sky was dark, it's black, but it's like a thick black color. Like imagine the night sky, but it's made out of cotton candy. It's dense. You almost kind of want to grab it. And then everything went black. The next time Gustavo opened his eyes, he's laying on the cold pavement next to somebody else who is also peacefully sleeping. He slowly gets up to not lose his balance, and he starts walking. He's just kind of wandering around aimlessly. Did he drive? Why can't he remember if he drove? Did it really even matter? Gustavo thought, I could drive home, right? But all I want to do is get home. It doesn't matter how. I just want to get home and take some painkillers, like Advil, and then everything's going to feel better in the morning. He starts walking down the street, and he noticed that people are looking at him with very concerned, scared, cautious looks. He's like, what, do I have something on my face? He's swiping his cheeks. There's some sort of gray pigment on his fingers. He looks back up, and a man comes up to him and splashes water onto his arms. Like a cup of water, just splashes him with it. Gustavo instinctively pulls back. It's very strange. Everyone tonight is acting very strange. But Gustavo didn't really feel the cold water much. It didn't bother him, so in order to not start a fight or a weird conversation, he just kept it moving. Then another woman yells after him, "Hey, you need to call an ambulance." No, ambulances are for the ones who need it. You need it. Something's wrong with your body. No, don't worry, it's just my shirt. I tore it up at the club and it's all shredded anyway. Gustavo could feel his shirt. It was shredded and hanging off of his body, and every time he walked, he would feel it swaying and hitting other parts of his torso. The woman looked at him very concerned. "Sir, you're not wearing a shirt." Gustavo walked towards a street lamp and he looked down at his arms. The skin on his arms were hanging only by his wrist. His skin was melting off. There is an urban legend in the Philippines that revolves around shopping malls and beautiful young women that go missing inside of these shopping malls. The legend goes something like this. A young couple were in a shopping plaza in this massive mall, and the place it's bustling with people. It's the weekend. There's a lot of people in and out. I mean, there's just activity everywhere. It's supposed to feel safe. I mean, you feel safe when there's so many witnesses, when there's so many people, yeah? I mean, most of the time, right? Now, the couple, they walk into this women's clothing store. The boyfriend is already bored. She tells him, it's just gonna be 1 second, like just hold on a second. He leans up against the wall of the store. He's looking at his phone, scrolling through. She's running around the store, picking out a few pieces, and she lets him know, hey, I'm just gonna go try this on in the fitting room, and it's gonna be super quick. We can leave immediately after. He nods again. He does not look up from his phone. It is not until about 10 minutes passes he realizes, wow, she's taking an extra long time right now. What's going on? Maybe her zipper is stuck. Maybe she needs assistance. Maybe she needs my opinion on something. Not that we care, okay? But he makes his way to the back of the changing rooms, and every single one of them has their doors wide open. They're all empty. Sorry, miss, you work here, right? Have you seen my girlfriend? She was just in there changing, trying on some clothes. I'm sorry. I'm not sure I know what you're talking about. You don't have a girlfriend, or at least not that we know of. You walked in here alone. Why would I walk into a women's clothing store alone? I came in here with my girlfriend. She literally was in that changing room right there. Perhaps you were buying a gift, but sir, you were alone. Nobody has been in the fitting room since this morning. The boyfriend starts to feel agitated, angry, and potentially even confused. He might almost be questioning, wait a damn minute, like, did I really come in here alone? I mean, her birthday is coming up. Was I trying to buy her a gift and I blacked out? Like, this is weird. But then you remember the legend of the half snake, half human. Look, some people believe that this is just human trafficking. But others believe that there are false floors in the changing rooms. Women walk in, they are spied on by two-way mirrors or cameras that are installed into the changing rooms, hidden cameras. If they are chosen, the bottom of the fitting room floor falls out. They're transported into this long tunnel/slide that leads them to an underground hidden maze/tunnel system underneath the mall. From there, they are either human trafficked, according to the urban legend, and never seen again, vanishing into thin air. It would imply that the malls are in on it, okay, including all the retail workers. But more people believe it's actually the half human, half snake. The legend isn't as old as you would think it is. It started in the 90s in the Philippines, and it kind of died down until recently. A case connected a missing woman with the half human, half snake legend. Legend says there is a half-human, half-snake living in the secret basement of a popular mall near Manila called Robinson's Galleria. There are two versions of this part of the legend. Some say that the owners of the mall know the human snake is in the basement. And at first they thought of all the ways to get rid of this human snake, but then they realized the human snake is what's bringing in the fortune. That's what's making this mall successful. So we need to do whatever it takes to keep the human snake happy. That is our price for fortune. The other variation says the human snake is actually a child of John Gokungwe, the owner of Robinson Malls. The human snake was allegedly the twin brother of Robina, which is John's daughter. So this is a very public family, very wealthy family. They own the malls, and they're saying, no. She actually is not just a daughter. She had a twin brother. He's the half human, half snake. The legend says John's wife had given birth to both human twins, and originally everything seemed very, very normal. Now, as time passes, the boy twin starts to grow stronger, faster, but also kind of stranger. Instead of legs, he ends up growing a snake body. This is the urban legend. Now, the growth of his body was so uncontrollable that within a couple of months, this infant toddler is taking up the space of a living room. Soon, the first floor, there's no way that he can play, live, and exist. And it's not like they can just let this half-human, half-snake outside. He's going to be shot dead or held in a science lab somewhere. So now the family is thinking, okay, what do? We got to figure something out. They also realize a little catch. It's not just the fact that he's half human, half snake, but it's also the fact that this little boy, this little creature, does not like to eat anything but pretty young women. Will not eat eggs, rice, nothing, just pretty young women. Now, it's debatable what he does with these women. Some versions of the urban legend say that he swallows them whole like a snake. Others say that he digs his fangs into their necks and drains them of every drop of their blood, just leaving bloodless, empty shells of dead women all around him. Either way, the family was forced to build a massive compound to house their son that happened to be half human, half snake. And they had to constantly find young women to feed their son. But you cannot just throw a big building in the middle of nowhere and have a bunch of young women disappear that's connected to that building and think that nothing is going to happen. So the only solution that they could come up with that made logical sense was a mall. It would give the family unlimited access to girls, and it would house their son in the underground basement. The fitting rooms were said to have these hidden cameras, and sometimes there would be two-way mirrors that allowed their son to see these girls. He's very particular. He likes them young and pretty. He has a style. Even though he's trapped in the basement, he would pick the ones that he wanted, and with the press of a button inside the fitting rooms, the floor would disappear from underneath them, and they would slide down the tunnel straight into his mouth. Now, I do think that the urban legend would have died down in the 90s had it been just that, but a famous celebrity somehow gets involved in this. Alice Dixon was crowned the Philippines Miss International. So this is like a Philippines beauty contest. And she is now working as an actress. She had this promotional shoot at the Robinson Galleria Mall. And, she's trying on clothes and they're taking pictures of her and they direct her to a department store on the 4th floor. And they're like, hey, use this fitting room to change into your next set of clothes for the next shot. She goes in and she said she couldn't shake this feeling. Someone was watching her. Now, since she had entered this mall, she had felt that, but she brushed it off because she's a celebrity. There must be people watching and, they're taking pictures of her. That's going to draw attention. But even in this fitting room when she's supposedly alone, she feels eyeballs on her. It's weird. There was this growing sense of unease to the point where she didn't even want to change. And boom, it all happened so fast she didn't even have time to scream. The floor to the changing room dropped. She found herself in a slide that led to the basement of the mall. It didn't even look like out of the back rooms. It straight up looked like an abandoned sewage tunnel. A horror movie. She was confronted by a human snake. The human snake was astonished by her beauty for a split second and it froze. It was just soaking in her beauty. So she ran. She ran through the dark chambers of the tunnel and did not stop running. Eventually, she heard a change in the air. She said that she had blacked out at this point. She didn't even know how she got out. Somehow she ends up in the lobby of a hotel nearby, confused on how she even managed to escape. Tabloid headlines and small news articles start coming out about this bizarre near-death experience. People start going nuts. They want to know more. Everyone just assumed that this whole thing was an urban legend. There is no way it actually happened to someone. And there's actually no way that there's a half human, half snake. Come on. The legend only grew stronger when supposedly Alice was supposed to appear on this big talk show to discuss what happened to her. And just as she starts sharing her experience and the truth of what happened, the TV signal falters and the show stops midair. People at home were losing their minds. It felt like someone really, really did not want this story to get out. And the mystery only grew stronger from there. Because, it's like, okay, fine, get Alice to a different show. It's not going to falter again, right? This time maybe do a live audience. Well, it was impossible because out of nowhere, Alice decides to just drop out of show business and abruptly ghost the industry and moves to Canada.
What in the world?
No longer interested in doing interviews about anything, and whispers started speculating that the owners of the mall had compensated her 15 million USD to ensure her silence. Alice would eventually come back to the industry, but it definitely served the urban legend a lot. It just kept going further and further. So the unsettling feeling that people associated with the mall was pretty cemented in stone after that. And in August 2022, like half a year ago, the popular urban legend regained its grip on the Philippines. A young retail employee of the Robinson Galleria went missing in the mall. Her name is Jovelyn Galleno, and her disappearance would stir up conspiracies of a human snake lingering in the mall, allegations of a human trafficking ring, and a very, very mysterious tarot card reader who is said to have gotten to the truth of what happened to Jovelyn predicted everything correctly before the police did. How did the tarot card reader know what happened to her? Did it have anything to do with the urban legend? Let's dive in. It's a place called Baraska. The story starts like this. It's a long story, but one that you've never heard before. It's about a place that dwells in the mountains. It's a place where really bad things happen, and you may think that you know all the bad things. You may think you've got it all figured out, but you don't. Because the truth of the story is worse than monsters or men. This is the starting of the story of Baraska. It's about a 12-year-old boy by the name of Sam and his entire family. They're moving to the Ozarks. This is a real place. There's a whole TV show based off of it. It's in the US. This is naturally the perfect ominous setting for a mystery. It's beautiful, don't get me wrong. I've never been, but just looking at pictures and videos of the Ozarks, you've got the types of riverways, the picturesque types of rivers where they're calm enough and wide enough that you can ride your little boat through it, and it's curvy. It's like an F1 trail. And on sides of the river, it's just these mountainous landscapes with all these tall trees, and you feel like you can turn left and there's more river, there's more trees, and it's absolutely beautiful. The Ozarks even have these maze-like underground caves that you can explore and visit.
What state is it in?
It's part of Missouri, Arkansas, Oklahoma, and Kansas.
Oh.
It's massive. It's like a huge landscape.
Okay.
Now, it's a place filled with a lot of history. A lot of stories come out of the Ozarks, and a lot of them are oddly mysterious. I think by daytime, it's a dream destination. Like, you want to be there at all hours that the sun is up. But the second that the sun sets, maybe I'm just a scaredy cat. I think that I would not want to be outside alone by myself. Sam and his family are moving to the Ozarks. Sam's dad, he just got transferred to the sheriff's office in a small town there. And as much as everyone in the family seems to be adjusting well, Whitney, the 14-year-old daughter, so it's 12-year-old Sam and Whitney, the 14-year-old daughter. Whitney is not having a good time. She's like, I miss my freaking friends. What the are we doing in the Ozarks? What even is here? I don't care about the underground caves. But that is not Sam's responsibility. Sam, he's making friends. He's going on hikes. Which, speaking of, hey, why do they call this trail West Rim Prescott Ore Trail? He's asking his new friends that. Why are there so many trails around here named Prescott? Is this mountain called Prescott or something? His new friends are giggling. Wait, what's so funny? I don't get it. It's not named after a mountain. Everything is named after the Prescotts. The family that lives on that giant estate on Fairmont, they practically run everything in this town. Mr. Prescott and his son Jimmy own like half of the businesses here. Yeah, but they don't own GameStop, do they? Then it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really count. Sam's friends, they take him to the top of the treehouse on this hike, and they have him carve his name on the back of the tree with a pocket knife. There's a bunch of other kids' names just like carved into the trunk of the tree. And they instruct him, now say, underneath the triple tree, there is a man who waits for me. And should I go or should I stay? My fate's the same either way. Sam looks so confused. Wait, that's so creepy. What does that even mean? I don't know. It's just a tradition. It's bad luck if you don't do it. Unceremoniously, Sam repeats after them. They sit on the top of the mountain. They're sharing these cans of lukewarm, disgusting beer. They're gagging, but they're hiding it because they're 12 and trying to be cool. Don't do this at home. And Sam is perking up. Wait, what is that? Did you hear that? Did you guys hear that? It sounds like this loud, metallic grinding noise. For 10 minutes, the sound is piercing into their brains before it finally stops. It's so much louder on the mountains than it is in the town. It feels like inside the mountain, there's something giant, like a giant metal wheel scraping against the insides of the mountain. Sam's new friends tell him, I mean, it's technically nothing. What do you mean technically? Baraska. That's what we call it. It's a place in the woods where bad things happen. We don't really know where it is. That is so vague. Like what? Bad things, okay? Don't try to find out or else bad things will happen to you. It is so ominous. Why does it seem like everyone in this town seems to just accept this as a fact? Imagine a random mysterious noise overtaking your town for years at a time and you're just like, oh, don't worry about it. Bad things happen there. And why don't they just tell Sam so he can stop being so curious? Sam asks his dad later that night because he works for the sheriff's office. He's like, if anybody knows what's going on, it's probably the sheriff's office. But everything in this new town is creepy. And he's trying to bring it up to his dad. And the dad is like, don't even think about it. Like, truly, nothing is happening. You're just a little bit freaked out. Everything seems creepy. Even the kids at school bring up that there used to be these mines. You know, this whole town used to be based off of the mines. It's not actually the Prescotts. Sam is wondering, did the Prescotts get rich off of the mines? No, they came after. They opened up all the businesses. The mines were really bad. They didn't find much down there, but recently they closed it shut because apparently some kids got into them and a while back they died. And by recent, I mean, I don't know, generations ago. Yeah, the city blew them up in controlled plans so that they can't go inside anymore. Another kid leans over and tells Sam, they messed up though. That's what I heard from my grandma. I heard they blew up the water table or poisoned it or something like that. Sam wonders if that means all the water in the town has C4 in it and we can just all explode. And all of his friends, his new friends, they're making fun of him. They're poking fun. Yet we're all just bound to combust at any moment. I believe so. You guys are so dumb. That day, after school, Sam's mom picks him up, and by dinner, there are police cars surrounding the house. He thinks it's Dad. No, your dad is fine, Sam. Then what's going on, Mom? Whitney, your sister never made it to school this morning. Sam's sister, Whitney, goes missing, and nothing will ever be the same after that. Even years later, by the time that Sam is finishing up sophomore year of high school, he's working for a sandwich shop that's owned by the Prescotts, but managed by this woman named Mira who's struggling with infertility. And life feels normal, but nothing is normal. Whitney hasn't been found in years, and one can only imagine that something really bad has happened to her. What if Baraska has her, or whatever his friends are talking about? Whitney isn't even the only one in town that's gone missing. A lot of other girls her age has gone missing. For a small town, the numbers don't make sense. And why are none of the adults even taking it that seriously? One of Sam's friends say, you know, sometimes when I'm high, I can see them all, the missing people. And I feel like I can see the answer. I know what happened. I feel like I'm so close to solving it. Like they're all part of this puzzle and I put the pieces together and it makes sense. But I can't tell what the picture is of the puzzle. I don't know, dude. It just feels like everyone in this town is drinking some sort of fucking Kool-Aid. For the next few years, Sam and his friends decide they're going to figure out what happened to the missing girls. They keep going up and down the mountain. They feel like the source of that grinding metal noise is going to be something. It has to be. It's got to be a piece of the puzzle. And that is when they find, hidden deep inside the mountain, is a facility. This is where the girls are being taken and trapped in the mountains. The missing girls are strapped to the beds, they're sedated, they're being essayed, and many of them are pregnant. It's a baby farm. The water in the town was tainted by the mine destruction, which leaked chemicals into the water, causing mass infertility. So now when newcomers come into town, their young daughters are kidnapped, brought into the mountains, and forced to have children. These children then get sent to families in the town to pretend to be their own. And this is all run by the Prescott family. When the captives are no longer useful, they get sent to the shiny gentleman. That noise you hear, that's a metal meat grinder that grinds women up after their bodies are used. Baraska is a human baby farm. But this is not real because this is a phenomenally written story. On Reddit, it was part of the No Sleep. There's a whole podcast about it now. But there's no such thing as a human baby farm. That's way too much like Handmaid's Tale. It's fake. Until February 3rd of 2025, 3 women were rescued, 3 Thai women, from a human egg farm, where they say that they were held captive, forced to be injected with hormones, and had their eggs extracted forcibly without their consent from their bodies. So now people are wondering, where are they taking the eggs? Who's buying the eggs? And what happens if these women run out of eggs to give? This is the case that has been dubbed the human egg farm. A sinking car will be fully submerged within 30 to 120 seconds. So you have essentially 2 minutes, if you're lucky, to get out of that submerged car. And it's gonna be terrifying. Every second of it is going to be like life or death. The minute that your car hits that water, the front of your car is gonna start to nosedive straight down into the river, the ocean, wherever you may be. The front of the car is typically heavier, so it starts slowly sinking and bringing in more water. Now, this is what some professionals have advised you to do if you're in these types of situations. Roll down the windows as fast as you can. You're about to hit that water, roll down the window. You're in the water, roll down the window. Because once you're fully submerged, it's gonna be nearly impossible to open your car door. And if your car windows stop working, then you're gonna be trapped inside the car with zero escape. You're gonna drown to death inside the car. So roll down your windows because the power to operate the windows is only gonna last so long. You have a very short window of opportunity before all the electrical systems are destroyed by the water. If you can't roll down the windows, you gotta find something to break it with. Don't try and break the windshield. That is the thickest part of glass in the entire car. You gotta use the side windows. Then you take off your seatbelt. You do not wanna be restrained while you're trying to free yourself from drowning in a car. Help other people out in the car, and then swim out of the car safely. It's gonna be the easiest to swim out of the car when the water level is still below your car window that's open. Now, once there's water coming in through that open car window, you're going up against the water pressure. Water's pushing you down, you gotta swim up against it. If you're not a strong swimmer, you might have to wait until the entire car sinks to the bottom and then wait for the water pressure to equalize before trying to swim up. Because even if the car is fully submerged, it's still sinking. So the water is pushing it down and you're trying to go up.
Wow.
You can still do it, but it's gonna take a lot more energy and a lot more skill. Wherever you are in this process, you're gonna wanna use your feet to kick off the car to try and propel yourself towards the surface. But what if you wake up in a sinking car? What if you didn't even see yourself falling? What if you weren't ready? You weren't alert. You didn't have any of the time to do these things. And now the car is filling up with water and you're panicking. In the Han River in Seoul, South Korea, 33-year-old Min Jun was knocked unconscious. He violently wakes up by the cold. It's just so cold. And he notices he's in the driver's seat of his car and there is cold water splashing into his car. It's slowly filling up. His feet are fully submerged at this point and now it's like trying to reach his knees. He's freaking out. Like, what the hell is going on? He has no idea why he's in water. He starts panicking. He's looking out the window. All he sees is water. What the hell? His car is in the middle of the Han River sinking. How did he even get here? He tries to push open the car door. He pushes, it doesn't even budge. Something is blocking it, or perhaps it's the water pressure that's high enough already. It won't move. He tries to slam his body up against the door to get it to open. It's not even moving a little bit, not even a single inch. So he's like, okay, calm down, think, we gotta think. He could hear his breathing ringing in his ears and he's panicking. Even if he gets out, then what? Be plunged into the dangerous river in the middle of October? I mean, surely he's gonna quickly die. The currents are strong enough to drag him underneath the water. And if that doesn't happen, he's gonna die of hypothermia pretty quickly because he's in the middle of the river. But if he stays in the car, he's gonna drown. The car is gonna slowly submerge and he's gonna drown to death either way. So no. He's gotta get out. And he had wasted so much energy trying to get that car door open. The water is now up to his waist. He has to think clearly. He tries to open the windows. It doesn't work. It's broken. And he's thinking, okay, what do I do? What do I do? The window has a tiny hairline crack running through it. Minjun knew that this is the only way out, the only way to live, or at least have a shot at living. So he uses his elbow and he smashes it into the window once, twice, 3 times. The water is just coming up higher and higher, filling up the car, and it's splashing up against the car, trying to drag it down. I mean, the adrenaline is so high, he doesn't even feel how cold the water is anymore. He uses the weight of his body to smash into the window again, and it finally shatters. It breaks. He pushes out the glass shards. He takes one last breath, closes his eyes, and jumps out the window. And he plunges straight into the cold concrete. And he's like, what the hell? Why is this not water? He opens his eyes and he looks around. His car was half submerged in water, but still resting on a piece of concrete that is now floating in the Han River. A giant piece of concrete the size of 2 football fields is now floating in the water. It does not belong there. It wasn't there 2 seconds ago. And behind him, Minjun sees what looks straight out of an apocalyptic movie. Floating on the concrete island is a bloodbath. People crawling out of their crushed cars, moaning for help, people in the water screaming, begging to be saved while they're getting swept away by the powerful currents. Other cars are fully sinking into the bottom of the deep river. A bus behind him is crushed to half its size. The bus is now coming up to his waist, with blood just pouring out of it like someone stepped on a berry-flavored juice box. He could see blood-soaked hands like reaching out of the bus, trying to crawl out, and nobody was coming to help them. It would be up to the 49 people floating in the middle of the river to save each other. By the end, 32 people would be dead. This is the case of the Seongsu Bridge collapse in South Korea and how 32 people died without medical attention on a concrete floating island in the middle of the Han River while helicopters flew over and live streamed the whole thing to news networks. The steps are pretty simple. You aim, pull the trigger, and you shoot. And then you repeat. It's pretty standard. The first few times that Johnny is doing this, he's struggling a little bit, but the practice rounds, the more he does it, it's helping him get into the groove. It's helping him understand how to be one with the gun. And now this time, it's going to be so much easier. It's locked, loaded, ready to go. Johnny's girlfriend, Cassandra, is scrunching up her nose in disgust. She's got her arms stretched out as far away from herself as possible, and she's just pouring bleach onto the bathroom floor. Listen, home renovation is typically not the ideal way that couples want to spend their time, but they're about to host this massive party and they need the house to be somewhat presentable. They're scrambling to get all these little mini projects around the house done. I mean, Cassandra has used so much bleach. The bottle is empty by the time that she's done with one bathroom. And now this very strong scent of bleach and whatever else she was originally trying to clean up is so overpowering, it's piercing through her nostrils. At this point, if she stays in the restroom any longer, she's gonna get high on the fumes. But that's where Johnny's gun comes in handy. His caulk gun. Cassandra closes the door halfway behind her. Johnny walks up and he's got this tube-shaped dispenser. He pulls the metal trigger and this thick white silicone-y liquid comes out. I mean, it's basically an industrial form of a white silicone glue, and it's gonna seal the entire seams of the door. I mean, the directions are pretty easy. Aim, pull the trigger, and shoot. The silicone parts, they start flowing out of the caulking gun. He repeats the process across the perimeters of the interior doors. Effectively, he glues the doors of the entire house shut. Every interior door, into the bedroom, into the restroom, he's super glued it so that you cannot open it. Even if you want to get inside, you can't get inside. If you're inside, you can't get out.
Huh, okay.
And the two, 17-year-old Cassandra and 19-year-old Johnny, they're crossing their fingers. I mean, hopefully, none of the guests at the party would be able to smell the 2 dead bodies upstairs. Not after the bleach, not after they glued the doors shut, right?